everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. Today we're going to continue working on our 1945 2N loader tractor. So today we're going to see about the brakes, getting everything all back together here, get the axles in, get the wheel bearings set, and get all the pedals and everything fixed up. You can see here on this thing, like literally every single pedal on the tractor is bent. I don't know how they did that. This is bent. This is bent. The brake pedal on the other side is bent. Everything is bent. The clutch lever is bent. Man, this thing's had a tough life, but that's okay. We've got parts. We're gonna fix this stuff all up. So the first thing we're gonna do, like every one of these we get, we're gonna heat up this and straighten it. This eye should be over here, and when it gets bent back like this, it really gets hard for the clutch to pull it because it's working at a bad angle, you know. So we'll get that fixed up and then we'll carry on. We'll be using our friend here. We'll get this thing nice and red and straighten it out. Okay. Pliers. And it's bent out a bit. There, we'll bend it back in. There. No, I bent it too far in. Actually, it's got a twist in it now. Get the twist out of it. There, that's pretty good. And now a couple of other things before we get too far into this. I've already cleaned the ends. The flanges on the axle tubes, and what we got to do next, we got to go. I'm going to get a bottle brush on a drill, and I'm going to clean out both of these bushings. That's where the brake shafts ride, and a lot of times the end of the shafts will swell up with rust and stuff, and dried up grease or whatever, and they get stuck in there, and you'll get the impression that the brakes are seized, you know, inside the drum, when the problem is really here. So we'll get that, make sure it's loose and clean. And then we've never disturbed the trumpets on this one. So what we're gonna do is go around with the torque wrench and set to 60 foot-pounds and just make sure all of these are tight. I had 2 or 3 nuts move just a tiny bit on either side, but yeah, that was all good. We got these bushings cleaned out nicely. Now we can turn our attention to the actual axle and brake assemblies. So what we're going to do first is get all the stuff off of this, these bent pedals, this clutch pedal. Oh, that's stuck too pretty good, the clutch pedal. It's got a bushing in there that you can replace it if you find it's bad. So we'll get this pulled off. This clutch pedal might not be that bad. I may be able to straighten it out in the press. We'll have a look at it once we get off. It just lifts off. It's got a bushing in it and it's slid over there. This thing is we spoke about this before. This is the little lever that allows the clutch pedal to apply the brake on this side. We'll go over that when we get to the adjustment part of it. And we'll get this brake pedal off because we've got a straight one. This one is just, you can see here what it's supposed to look like. It's pretty mangled up. All right, now we got all that junk stripped off of there. We could see about getting the brake out of the drum. Okay. Oh, you know what? I forgot to back off the adjustment. And I haven't got the right wrench. We can also see it's already got a set of sure seals in it. Somebody's been in here before us. Okay, that's tightened. And that's loosened. Sometimes these things come right out, and well, sometimes they don't. Okay, let's try now. Kev's struggling. I'll be back. All right, the struggle is done. I got it out. The brakes are oiled up a little bit. Even though it's got a set of Sure Seals in it, they failed. You can see there what happens with these things. You can see there the seal lip. It's just not sealing. I think this is the old style of them. We'll see when we get them out. We'll have to replace them. I always keep a set of Sure Seals in stock. So we got this thing out, and you can see here what the problem is with these. This is the old style Sure Seal, and I come across these a lot of times. I get an old tractor. That one over there, you can't see it from here. The other 45 2N over in the corner, it had the same problem. It's got Sure Seals in it, yet the brakes are all full of oil again. And well, what happens was this. These original Sure Seals were just a retainer. The dome here is just a retainer with an old leather seal pushed into it. And what happens, you can see with this one, over time, the leather shrinks and it's just floating around in there doing nothing, and it leaks like a sieve. The new Sure Seals are a proper, actual, manufactured one-piece lip seal. And these things do a lot better. So needless to say, we'll be putting a set of those in. So anyway, it's no big deal really. It's actually a good opportunity because now we get to get in here, shoot some new grease into the bearing, because originally these bearings, the seal is out here, outboard of the bearing. That's why they leak, right? And the wheel bearing was lubricated by the axle lube. So once you switch to Sure Seals, you have to get this bearing packed with grease, because whatever grease you get packed in there, once you put this thing on top of it, that's what you got. So we'll get a bunch of grease packed in there. We'll put some sealant around the outside of this Sure Seal, and we'll get it stuck in there. Now, when we go to put this in, with the studs and everything, it's pretty difficult to whack it around with a hammer. So everybody's got their own way of doing this. I've seen some guys, it's a really nice setup, a long piece of pipe, and they just hammer it down from the top. What I've got is this old bearing cone I got somewhere. Probably picked it up off the ground in a scrapyard. When you're screwing around with this, anything you can find that's round is always good for stuff like this. And that fits perfectly, and it gets me away from the studs, and I just work my way around it with a hammer. Oh, and before I put this thing in, you can see here, we've got that cavity pretty much jammed with grease. Now what we'll do is, before we drive this thing down, we'll make sure this surface here is greased up, and we'll grease up the lip of the seal. There we go. Actually, a little below flush is even better. Good. So what we got to do now is we got to get brake clean. We have to clean all this because we're going to fill this in here with silicone just to make 100% sure that it's sealed. I went around here with a wisp of silicone just to make 100% sure that that joint is sealed. The face of the flange here is nice and clean, ready to take our new gasket. So we should be A-okay there. Oh, and I got some brake clean, and the friction surface of the drum is nice and clean now. Now we got to clean up these shoes. So here's the easiest way to work on these brakes, at least for me. I just stick it back on the tractor with one bolt through the top. You can see here there's not really much to them. It's a mechanical. My vice grip can't even get enough grip on the actual brake shaft to operate it to overcome this spring. But there's your cam there. You turn that shaft and it spreads the shoes. This here at the back is the adjuster. It's just a wedge adjuster. I'll show you that when I get it apart. You can see here they've got the springs on backwards. The green one is supposed to be on top and the red one on the bottom. Whether it makes any difference or not, who knows? But anyway, let's get all this stuff off of here so we can get it cleaned up. And it's just like taking the brakes off anything else. And hopefully I could do this without knocking the camera over. All right. Let's see. Then on off to a good start. There we go. Oh, I thought I had it. There we go. Oh, almost. Let's put up a fight, people. Whoa, it almost got you. You can see how different they are. That's the green one. That's the red one. Now, this monster here. Seem to have a little difficulty getting hooked onto this guy. Come on. Give me my screwdriver. Got to get in behind it there with this hook. This is one serious spring, man. How do you think we're going to get this, people? Oh. There, we got it. Okay, good. That's quite a spring. Alrighty, now, just to prove to you that I actually have one of these, even though... Oh, look at that. It actually worked. Never have much luck with this. I just usually use a pair of needle nose vice grips, but... that went flying. Okay, so we'll have to find one cup after. But it hasn't left the building, so it should be in here somewhere, right? So these have got some oil on them, but they're not terrible. We should be able to clean them up. And the manual, the Ford manual says the ends of these shoes should be chamfered at a 45-degree angle to prevent the brakes from sticking. So we'll see about doing that. Now you can see here, here's the adjuster. It's just a wedge. So the end of the adjuster screw on the back side of this, it's just got like a dome on it. And as you screw it in, it pushes on these like a wedge, and it pushes those out. Quite interesting and simple. Here we are down in the laundry tub. I've soaked the brake shoes down with some oven cleaner. We're going to let that soak for a little bit, and then we'll follow it up with some Castrol Super Clean. All right, they've been sitting in there a while. I'm going to give them a scrub, and we'll see what they look like. I think they came out pretty good. We're going to hit them with some Castrol Super Clean here. Let that foam up and sit for a little while, and then we'll come have another go at it. Here's another spot where you can have trouble, and we've got trouble. Where the shaft passes through the backing plate, there's a collar staked onto there with a pin that we don't really want to take apart. This thing was just about seized. That's why I was having trouble operating it. but we're getting some oil worked into it now, and it's freeing up quite nicely. Oh, and by the way, if you ever wanted to know what's the proper shade of gray for your 9N or 2N, there you go. That's nice original paint inside the brakes there. There we go. That's pretty good. Now the last thing I do is I get the propane torch and I just warm it up. And if there's any little bits of oil left on the surface of it, this will pull it up and burn them off. You can see there how the shoe's starting to look nice and dry. I mean, it's impossible to get all the oil out of them. The only way really to fix this is to buy new shoes. But these are literally brand new shoes that somebody put on it at some point. And I'm just too cheap. So we're going to do this. Look at it. It's pulling some oil out over there. It's not too bad up around the top here. I've also hung them over a barbecue. Sometimes that works too. You just can't, you got to move fast, not keep the heat in one spot too long, or the shoes will all crack. And we don't want that. Just all we want to do is work the oil out of them. There's very little coming out now. And you just kind of wipe it off as it comes up. The brakes on these things were crap at best anyway. The 8N had self-energizing brakes like a car, even though they were still mechanically actuated. And they're great. My 8N, my 58N, in Sherman overdrive, I could stand on the pedals and lock up both back wheels on the road. And that's at like 24 miles an hour. Okay, now we got our brake shoes all cleaned up. That actually went pretty well. We're going to pull this backing plate back off and get the brake shoes, or pardon me, get these old gaskets all cleaned off and get it all cleaned up ready for the new stuff. Okay, so all back together, just the opposite of taking it apart. Pop, 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 it all went on. This time we've got the springs in the correct orientation. You need the heavy spring on top because this one, the bottom one only pulls the shoe up. This top one has to counteract the weight of the brake pedal because the brake pedal always wants to hang down, right? So it's this top one. It's this top one that keeps that pulled down. That's how I got it. That's how I got it making sense in my mind anyway. So now we're going to pull this back off. We have to put a new gasket. Where's our gaskets? You know, these things here. Always keep plenty of these in stock. These. I recommend keeping 10 of them at all times if you muck around with these tractors. So we got to put a gasket, drop the brake assembly over that, and then put another gasket, and then we have to put our pedals and everything back on the shaft, and we can get this thing installed. All right, we've got our clutch pedal on and greased up, and the cam, or the lever for the, I don't even know what you call that thing, but that's the lever for the parking brake. We'll just call it the parking brake lever for now. That's on there. We can put the actual brake pedal on after because it's split and has a key. So we're going to lift this thing up and get it back in there. Can you imagine doing this all day at the dealership? Wow. There we go. Come on. Now we got to get the studs started in the bars here. There we go. And then the shaft. Come on. Okay. Thank heavens, we did it. Whew. Wow. That's really something. Now we can start putting the nuts on from the back and get them torqued up to 60. Alrighty, so there we are. We got a nice free turning wheel. The bearing sounds a little rough because we haven't got the other axle in. When we get the other axle in, we're going to set the preload on the axle shafts, and that will push this axle out to get the bearing actually properly seated in the race. Right now the bearing is kind of falling down the race. It's not seated properly in the race, or riding properly in the race, I guess. But we got at least the wheel turning nice and free. We'll do the final adjustment once we're all done and got the wheels back on and everything. Now we got to do the same job on this side. The only difference being is that when I'm done, I have to set the backlash or the free play on the axles. And I'll come back and show you how we do that. Something we didn't talk about on the other side is this little cam that's underneath the top brake shoe. I'm not sure what it does, why it's there, how you adjust it, when you adjust it, why you adjust it. I've been trying to find out about it, but I'm not getting anywhere. But I'm going in for coffee break now, and I'm gonna see if I can figure it out. I mean, I've got my INT shop manual, no mention of it. I've got my I've got a proper Ford 9N shop manual, nothing. It's, mind you, like it's a not a dealership one. It's kind of watered down, but still, I mean, there's nothing in it at all. So I got to get on the forums and see if I can find anything out about it. When you've got these things apart, and if you've had the pedals off like I do, make sure when you go to put it back together that the Woodruff key is on the back side of the shaft. Because if it's on the front side of the shaft like that, that means the shaft is backwards and you won't be able to get your brake pedal on. Okay, and I did find out what this thing is for. We'll get to that in a minute. Now we'll go ahead and get this side back together, and I'll be back when I've got that accomplished. Okay, so here's what this little cam up under the brake shoe does. Because this spring is a lot heavier than that spring, it'll tend to pull the shoes down that way. And so what you do is you turn that cam until you've got equal amounts of a adjuster push rod showing. Exactly how we've got that. Let me loosen it off and I'll show you, because when I just did this a minute ago, I thought I was filming and found out, well, in fact, I wasn't filming. That's what happens when Deb's not out here. Anyway, let's screw it up. There. So now you can see we've got way more on the bottom than we do on the top. So we just turn that cam until we get them even. Just like that. And lock it down. Now, I'm not sure when we've got the shoes back way off how much that's going to help, but oh, it's there for a reason. So there we are. That's what that does. And then what I did on this side was because it's already together, I turned the cam until it locked up the brake. So that means I've pulled the shoes right up, and then I just let them back down a hair. Hopefully that'll be close enough. I don't want to take it all apart again. So now, before I put this back together, I've got to I've got to make one stud because there was a bolt in here instead of a stud. And of course it was too long, so they had an old nut. They had an old nut to space it. We'll just make a new stud. Of course, I've got every 7/16 stud in the world except the one that I need. Everything I've got is too long, but that's better than too short. So we'll get one of the long ones and put a little more thread on it and cut it off, and we'll be okay. Now we can put this together sort of the same as we did the other side. We're going to put one gasket in there, drop our backing plate and brake assembly down in, and then on the back side of it, we're going to put 3 gaskets because we use gaskets as shims to set the end play on the axles. And we'll tighten it up and see what we've got. I've changed my mind, imagine that. I'm going to put this thing in with only one seal on the back because I recall when I took it apart, there were no gaskets anywhere in this thing. So I'm not sure what that means. It should have shims and gaskets in it. Anyway, we're going to put it together with this one and see what happens. If it's too tight, we'll take it apart and add some. So we're going to gently pull this thing in while we keep turning the wheel. And so long as the one on that side doesn't turn or turns the other way, we know we're okay. If the other wheel starts turning the same way as this one, that means we've got the ends of the axle shafts jammed together in there, and that's no good because that'll wipe out your bearings. So we'll just work away at it and see how it goes. So as you can see, this wheel's going frontward, that wheel's going backwards. I've got all the nuts back here kind of snugged up by hand, and you can hear that. There's just a little end float on the axle, which is fine. We could probably close that up a little bit by taking one gasket out and just putting silicone in it, but this is fine. And I kind of think that once I get the torque wrench on it and crunch all those gaskets down, we'll tighten that clearance up a little bit more. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to grab the torque wrench, torque those 6 nuts up to 60 foot-pounds, and we'll recheck it. Yeah, that's perfect. And the end plate is just about gone. There's just a tiny bit there. That's fine. That's beautiful. Yeah. Runs nice and smooth. That's great. Okay, so I can't do the final adjustment until the wheels are back on it and we're ready to go drive it around. I think we're going to do a whole video at the end of this project just on adjustments because there's a lot of stuff that we'll need to adjust on this tractor. So that's perfect. The end play is almost gone. Everything runs nice and smooth. We'll adjust the brakes once it's all back together and the wheels are on it and we're ready to use it. I'll have a lot of adjustments to do, so we'll probably do a whole video just on adjustments once I've got it up and running. There's the brake pedal on this side, and look at that. It's not a mangled up mess anymore. It's an actual nice straight brake pedal. Now, we're going to start working on our clutch pedal and clutch rod. This is interesting. I'm not quite sure how the jam nut got on that side of the yoke. It should be over here. But hey, no worries. We'll fix her up. That took a little heat, but we got her. We've got it, all freed up, so it's easy to turn. Got a new clevis pin in it, so there's, as little slop as possible. There's always going to be a little. So we'll just, we'll put a hair clip in this. Instead of a cotter pin, I put a hair clip in this. So it's easy to do on-the-fly clutch adjustments if you ever have to. Last thing we did was install the left brake pedal, a nice straight one we found in the barn. Don't worry about it hanging down like this right now, all that slop and play in it. We'll get that sorted out when we do our brake adjustment in the adjustment video. So that'll wrap it up for this one, man. We did a lot of work on the back end of this thing. I can't believe, like literally every single part of it was broken, smashed, bent, twisted, mangled. Oh, this poor old thing must have had a rough go at life, eh? But anyway, no problem. She's all fixed up now. In the next video, we're going to move forward and get some work done on the engine. So until I see you back for that, I'm going to check out now. I'd like to thank you for tuning into the Claremont Classic Garage. I hope you'll come back and see us again. And until then, this is Kevin saying so long for now.